Sechta Makos, Daf Tes Tezayin Amar Aleph, 4 lines from the top. Utavayu, I'll leave it to Rabbi Yehuda. Okay. Anyway, yesterday we learned a case of somebody who makes a shvua that he will eat this loaf of bread. He says that he's going to eat this loaf of bread today. He said no. He said he makes a shvua. He's going to eat the loaf of bread today. And and he didn't eat it. The day went through and he didn't eat it. So we have a machlokes between Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish. Nicht in the din. They both hold that he doesn't get malchus, but for different reasons. Rabbi Yochanan says the reason why he doesn't get malchus because when they warned him, you made a shvur that you're going to eat today. You have to make sure you're going to eat. Is called Hasar Safik because he still had time to fulfill the shvur. That you made a shvur, and if you don't fulfill the shvur, you get malchus. They're warning him.
That he has to eat it.
Yeah, but it's not called Hasar Bade because he still has throughout the whole course of the day to eat it.
To do the shkia.
And any Hasar Safik, according to Reish Lakish, Hasar Safik is not Hasar. So at the time when he warned him, it wasn't Asar Vadei. So therefore, Ein Einshin Elam Came Azin. You can't punish unless you gave a Hasar. But since the Hasar was a Safik, it's not a Hasar. So therefore, then when he wasn't Mekayim it and he didn't eat it, he's not going to be Chayim Malchus. But Rabbi Yochanan, who says Asar Safik is Asar, is a regular Asar. So what's the reason he's not going to get Malchus? Because it's a Lav She'im by Maisa. A Lav She'im by Maisa, you don't get Malchus. Why is it a lav shein by Maisa? What he's not. He has to eat, and he didn't. What was the lav? What was the lav that he did? He didn't eat. And this Gitan came Maisa. So since it's a lav shein by Maisa, he had a lav shein by Maisa. The halach is you don't get malchus.
But everything that you say, you warn somebody, don't do a bad thing. Don't do a thing that you're not supposed to.
Right.
Here, what is it? What's the bad thing?
No, he gave a shvur that you have to fulfill your shvur. You made a shvur, and if you're not going to fulfill it, you get malchus. Anyway, so here the Gemara is going to say, Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish, they're arguing. They're arguing two arguments. They're arguing number one, if Hasar Safik is Hasar. Rabbi Yochanan says Hasar Safik is Hasar. Reish Lakish says not. And they're also arguing if a lav shein by Maisa, if you get malchus or not. Rabbi Yochanan says a lav shein by Maisa you don't get malchus, and Reish Lakish says you do get malchus.
The opposite.
The opposite. So
why can't they both agree on the same?
They're not agreeing. So where did they learn this? To just get together, they argue.
What is Hashvel Naidim? It's Shmogis with us.
But the din is that.
It's Shmogis. Reish Lakish Shabbat. He's not even Shmogis.
But this is my main reason.
Yeah. Anyway, says the Gemara, from where did they learn out their din? Each one learns out his din, that Asar Safik is Asar, according to Rabbi Yochanan, and Allah Shein by Maisa, that you get Malchus, the Reish Lakish will learn out from the following Braisa. Tavai Ali Rabbi Yehuda, they both side Reish Lakish side Rabbi Yochanan are learning out from the words of Rabbi Yehuda. The Tanya we learned, the God that we just finished covering, the Pesach we finished. So by the Korban of Pesach, there's a lav. A state below you say, you have to eat the Korban Pesach through the night. You shouldn't leave it to the morning. But what's if you did leave it, the Korban Pesach till the morning, then there's a way to be misaking it. Whatever's left over, you should burn in a fire, and to that, it's called a lav. You can correct it with us.
You couldn't finish it, so that's why you say he gets punished. You couldn't finish it.
So you burn it, and you're not going to be over.
But why are you going to
can't burn
You're
it
supposed to eat it.
right?
Yeah. Let's say
stop himself, you can't even eat it.
you usually get enough people
That's
to
the
eat.
You have to make
You
sure,
have to make sure you have the right amount of people to finish it
That's
up.
what the problem is.
Zak the mother, the Tanya that we like to double ice. Okay, we just said that. So ba kosev litin asay ach lo asay. The pussies come to tell you it's a lav shenitin asay. Lo inash ein leikin alav. That you don't get malchus because a lav, which is corrected by asay, it uproots the lav, and there's no malchus. Div Rabbi Yehuda. Those are the words of Rabbi Yehuda. So now they're going to be medayik from the words of Rabbi Yehuda. How? Rabbi Yochanan will be medayik his way, his shita. Rabbi Yochanan medayik hachi. Time of the Makos. The only reason why he's not getting Malchus, because the Torah gave an asay, a way out, Baish the Seifel, to correct the Loisasido, to correct the Loisasa. Oh, Loibakos. But if the Torah wouldn't have written a asay to correct it, like he would get Malchus. So why would he get Malchus? What are you warning him? You're warning him, don't leave it till the morning, because you'll be chayiv kares for leaving it, right? So what happens? It's but he still has time.
He's
Chayiv Malchus. I'm sorry, Chayiv Malchus. So he says it's asur safi, because at the time when he told him, when he warned him, don't leave it. He still had time. He was able to eat it. So that's asur safi. And at the end he left it. And let's say there wasn't asay a baish to safi, he would get Malchus. But that's so Zaraya to Rabbi Yochanan, even though it was asur safi, it's considered as asur, because if it wasn't asur, he wouldn't get Malchus. Reish Lakish said, no, this is what you're supposed to be medayik. Time of the Bakasiv, the whole reason why he's not chayiv Malchus, because it was corrected by asay, Baish the Seifel. Oh, loy Bakasiv. Well, what's if the Torah wouldn't have written the asay? Like he would get Malchus. Vexel Shaila, no. This fact the child is a riot Reish Lakish Alma. It's a lav shem by Maisa. What is Sachakal? What is he doing? He's not going to eat it. Not eating. And he left over, but he didn't do a Maisa. He did nothing. Nevertheless, we say like in a love. If we wouldn't have had the say or base to save him, we would have said he gets Malchus. So Reish Lakish says, I have a riot to me that a lav shem by Maisa, you still get Malchus. So the Reb Shimon ben Lakish, Nami
It's a klal, or just here is the
they learn out their shittas from this barais of the memory of Rabbi Yehuda. So now the Gemara is asking, okay, Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, you're right, you can prove a lav shem by Maisa, you still get Malchus, but Havada asur safikut, but it was also asur safik. So how did he get Malchus? Reish Lakish holds asur safik. You don't get Malchus. Where do you see that? So he says, so the Gemara says, he holds like the other Tana of Rabbi Yehuda. There was another Tana in Rabbi Yehuda, two Tanoim in the Shita of Rabbi Yehuda, and there was a Tana that learned the opposite of what Rabbi Yehuda said over here. What did he say? The Tana that we learned in Abraisa. Here is talking about a case that a woman got divorced and she married another man. The halacha is you have to wait 3 months, because in order to make sure that the child is coming from the new husband. So what happened? She got married immediately within the 3 months. Now is a shaila. Is this baby 9 months from the first father or 7 months from the second father? The reason why we're saying 9 and 7 in those times, a childbirth was either 9 or 7. 8, the child wouldn't be able to last. Right. Anyway, Bekitzah, so what do we see over here? This is the case. Now what happened? The Tanya, we learned in Abraisa, this child hit both fathers. He first hit the first father, then he hit the second father, or he cursed this father, and then he cursed the other one. Oh, sure, there was asros, but now we have a problem. He's going to be chayiv. So now, yeah, if he cursed both or he hit both in the same basachas,
the son he grew up.
He's a ben seir meir.
What's considered basachas?
Basachas. I can't get him by the hand. He smacked both of them, and they warned him at the same time. Don't hit any of them. So Rabbi Yehuda says, only if it's bevas achas. So the hasra went for sure to the father, but when he went to each one, it was asra suffix, because we don't know if this was the real father. So each one that's a real asra suffix, because each one that he hit the father before he hit either father and it wasn't together. It was mamish. It wasn't sure. It was asar safi by each one. He says there it's asar safi. He's not going to be chayiv.
Why is that asar safi? Each one he's warning. Don't hit this one and don't hit this one.
Yeah, but it has to be the father in order to give the punishment for.
We don't know who the father is.
We say it's chayiv misa. In order to be the chayiv misa, you have to have asar vada. Here there was no asar vada. If it was bezeh hazeh, by each one, don't hit your father. It could be it's not his father. Each one. So that's called a real suffix. So if it's a real suffix, then it's not asar. And that's why Rabbi Yehuda said he's going to be pata only b'bas hachas. So here you see this Rabbi Yehuda holds b'peidish asar suffix is not asar. Rabbi Yochanan, sagt die Gemara, Rabbi Yochanan, Taki holds asar suffix is asar. Oh, but you said alav shem by ma'isa. You said you don't get malchus, but here avada alav shem by ma'isa, and we said he does get malchus. So what are we going to answer for that? So he says, Savallah, Rabbi Yochanan holds, Ki had Amar Rabbi Rabbav, Amar Rabam, Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yehuda, Oima, Mishum, Rabbi Yisrael Guli. Again, Rabbi Yehuda says, in the name of Rabbi Yisrael Guli, Kol lo yisah seshavatera, every lo yisah seshavatera, lav sheish by Maisa, if it's going to be a lav with a Maisa, like no love. Lav shein by Maisa ain't like no love. So he holds like this, Rabbi Yehuda, that if it's a lav shein by Maisa, you're not going to get malchus. There's only two exceptions. I'm sorry. Chutz min anishba. Here he gives three. Chutz min anishba. Except one exception is by shvur sheker, where it's a lav shem ma'isa, right? Umeime, or when somebody who exchanges, you're not allowed to exchange lo yachlifana. You're not allowed to take a carbon that you designated and take from chulin and say, I want to exchange this carbon for this behemoth. I want to take this behemoth as an exchange. You're not allowed. And that you get malchus, even though it's a lav shein by ma'isa. He said it in words. And somebody who curses his friend with the name of Hashem. Over here was also, you remember the first case, he made a shvuah that he's not going to eat today. And we said he gets malchus, right? And we said he doesn't get malchus according to Rabbi Yochanan because it's a lav shein by ma'isa. Why shouldn't he get a malchus? Why shouldn't he get malchus? It was a shvuah, nishba l'sheker. So he brings down from the ritva. There's a chilik. If it's a shvuah in the past, then that's where we say he gets malchus on a lav shein by ma'isa, by nishba. But if it's a shvuah for the future, he says the Gemara learns it out from a pasuk, a shvuah for that I'm not going to eat in the future, right? Shvuah shelo yachalti, shvuah in the past I didn't eat, and he did eat. But 1 minute, shvuah that I didn't eat, or shvuah that I did eat, is all talking about a shvuah of the past. That's the type of a lav shein by ma'isa that that shvuah you're going to get malchus for. But the shvuah that the Gemara said he's not going to get malchus for is talking about he's making a shvuah for the future. I'm not going to eat, and he ended up I'm going to eat today, and he didn't eat today. That shvuah we have a pasuk for that he's going to be chayav. Okay, Zag the Gemara Kash Rabbi Yehuda. You have a stira from Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yehuda b'peil mamish. One place Rabbi Yehuda says Hasa Safik, both cases. No, it's two Tanaim Rabbi Yehuda maybe. Rabbi Yehuda said the first case Hasa Safik is Hasa, and here he says not Hasa, and then one place it says Alav Shein by Maisa, you get Malchus, and here he says Alav Shein by Maisa, you don't get Malchus. So if you want to Ilab Shem Ben Lakish, if you're asking according to Reb Shimon Ben Lakish. So Reish Lakish ben Agei Hasar Safi could say Trei Tanoia Alib Rabbi Yehuda. There are two Tanoim that are arguing in what the shita of Rabbi Yehuda is. Rabbi Yochanan, and if you're talking about Rabbi Yochanan ben Agei to Lav Shein by Maisa, so before he said Rabbi Yehuda said Lav Shein by Maisa Loiken Alav, and here it says Ein Loiken Alav Loik Kasha Hadidei. He holds a Lav Shein by Maisa. He himself holds a lav shein by ma'aser does get malchus. Had Rabbi, but here in this brayse in the name of Rabbi Yosef Agili that we said that he does get that he does a lav shein by ma'aser does not get malchus is not his shita. It's the shita of his Rebbe Rabbi Yosef Agili. So the Gemara Dan has we learned in Masechta Chulin b'negeya the mitzvah of shiluch hakan. It says shalat the shalat saying. And then you could take the bunny. You know the famous story. They say it says in the pasuk the shalat haim and durch them that you'll be mekayim the mitzvah shiluch hakan. was the Zeiche sein, to bui nach Stub, was he said, Michael, and you're going to end up making a get around the house. How could it be? Dort zu brechen nach Stub, und durch dem wird man bui nach Stub.
Ja, das heißt, du bist das.
No, it's not. Charlotte, the Charlotte Haim geht auf den Schwieger. Charlotte, the Charlotte Haim. She came back to
Ja, aber
Schwieger.
das ist
Breaking up the nest.
No. Yeah, anyway, so over here. From now on, we learned there in the Mishnah, and they tell Aim al-Bani, somebody who took already the mother. So then, Rabbi Yehuda Aim al-Leik, he gets Malchus. He can't return the mother and then send it away. He can, once he did it, he cannot put it back and send it away. Chum say no, he can put it back and then be Mishalech, and he doesn't get Malchus. Any love which is nitik lase, ein chayom
Where's the answer?
That's it. Shalat the shalat saim is the say.
But you say he returns it.
What?
No, he said.
How does he correct it?
But he puts it loy sikacha ema al bani.
Right. So how does he correct
It says
himself?
loy sikacha ema al bani. Don't
So he
take
did
it.
take. So you say if he
So he puts it back and then sends it away. So he put it back so he can still fulfill the say. Okay, so Ein Chayom La. Rabbi Yochanan said, Ein Lana, we don't have in the whole Torah, when it says alav, I need to say that it's possible that he should get Malchus, meaning that he should be Mevatel, the say, which is uprooting the lav, except for Elazais, only by Shiluch Hakan. Okay? Why? Because he could shecht it. Once he shechts the mother, there's no way of putting back the mother. So that's one case that you can be mevatel dasei. But is in another case. Where's this other case? Rabbi Yochanan said to Rabbi Elazar, his Talmud, go and figure it out. Go be mine and find me another case. Nafak dok ashkach. He went out and he looked into it and he found the case. The Tanya we learned in the Brayso. Oines shagidish. A woman, a man who raped a woman, there's a mitzvah, loisi mitzvah. He gets punished. He has to marry her. And lo yuchal l'shalcha kol yamav. He can never send her away. It's a punishment. Okay, what happened was
Nobody wants to marry her.
it's for her benefit. He raped her. He made her into second
Well, he was
goods.
interested in her, no? Maybe.
He wasn't in. He was into his Yitzhak to Mangichab.
One shot deal.
Yeah. Anyway, Oina Shagidish.
Look what David Mello did. Though.
Okay, that's a whole different story. We went through it already. Anyway, Oina Shagidish, he divorced her. So there it's V'lo Yisi Elisha, and then it says Lo Yuchel Shalchel Koyama. So Im Yisrael, who, if it's Yisrael, Masavei Nelek, he can take her back, and there's no Malchus, because he's correcting it. He's taking her back. But in Koyenu, but if it's a Koyen, like Veina Masa, because a Koyen cannot marry a Gerusha. Yes. Sagt die Gemara, hat nicht lemande Tani. It's understood according to the Mande Amma that says Kima v'loi Kima. Reish Lakish says there's no such there. It's not a case of asar safek. What happens is the woman comes to Bezdin and says, "Hey, this guy wants to divorce me," and it says, he raped me, and it says loisi leisha. So they warn him, you take him back, and if he doesn't take him back, it's not asar safek.
It's right away.
It's right away. Chapta malchus. That's how he learns it. But according to Mandama, that says no. It's not that he had the it's not enforced right away. He still has time, all his life, to take her back. So as long as he's able to take her back,
They didn't give him the time.
there's no time for it. As long as he can take her back, he's not going to get Malchus. Says Gemara
So in
Bishlan.
essence, really, he's never going to get Malchus.
No, if she
Right,
dies-
that's what he's
If
saying.
she dies, that's for sure.
Oh,
No,
no,
because
that's on its own. He has to do something by Yadayim to be mevatel da'aseh. So we're trying to figure it out. Says Gemara Bishlo, you find that he's able to be mevatel da'aseh by shachting the bird. He cannot put back the bird to send it away. How are you going to find a case that he's going to be mevatel da'aseh, that he won't be able to take it back as he is so? Either Kutla, if he's going to fast youth, he's going to kill her. Says the Gemara, you're right, he got rid of her. He won't take her back. But he's not getting Malchus there. Kim he's going to get Misa. When you have two punishments on the same Einish, so we give it says Bishum Isha and not because of the two.
There's no love.
So there's a law, but he's not getting to the law. There's no Malchus. Yeah. Aber I've seen him What happened was, the one that raped her, he divorced her, and he accepted money for her kiddushin from another man. Once she marries another man, he cannot go back to her. So that's what he did. He accepted the kiddushin. In fact,
What do you say?
he accepted the kiddush. He was her shliach. We're not sure. He accepted the money. Let's say he's
She
Reuven.
went and married somebody else.
Yeah, but Reuven. Let's say Reuven was the ma'anis. Reuven divorced her. Shimon is getting engaged to her or getting married to her.
Yeah.
Reuven took from Shimon the money of the kiddushin for her. For this woman.
Let's say she wanted to take it on her own.
We'll see. One second, Amarav. Let's understand. If she made her original husband, the one that raped her as a shliach, to accept the money from Shimon to get married to Shimon, he come mevatel. It's not him being mevatel daseh. He's not Chaim Malkus. She is the one that was mevatel it. Says shliach. But if she didn't make him as a shliach, kolkim, hey, does he have the power to force a kiddush on her? It has to be medaita, right? Like Lumi, so it's nothing. Says that he made a neder barabim that he will not have enough from her.
Is this like an Aldasra?
Very good. Says this makes sense according to the one that says a neder that was done in public. There's no way of being mata that neder, so that's it. Once he made the neder, he was mavatal dasei. He cannot take her back. So there it makes sense he gets malchus. But according to the Mandi that says if he makes a neder in public, we still amata his neder, so he has to take her back. So it's when
does he make her? After he divorced her?
He's divorced her, and now they want him to take her back. So he makes a neder al das rabim in front of the public that he's not going to have any ano whatsoever from her. He's not going to even be dollar amas, whatever. Says you want to here it's talking about the matir al das rabim. Over here it's not talking about barabim in the public. He did it with the now das rabim means he gave them the authority over his neder. Now, in order to be mata neder, you have to have a pesach. You have to have a way out. So now he's not the one that has to come with a pesach. Now it's the rabbin, and each person has a different opinion. So there's no way to be mata such a neder. So he says that if it was done on the authority of the rabbin, there's no way out. A neder that was just done in public that he can get out of, because we only need his pesach, his excuse. But if it's al das rabim, they're the authority. Every person has a different pesach. So it has to be unified with the same excuse.
What was the neder here? Al das rabim.
Al das rabim. He says that he's making. He's saying that he thinks there was some kind of
it was rigged.
No, it's news that she committed adultery or whatever. He could have come up with any kind of isa, and they decide what should be. It's on their authority. So there's no way out. So your mother. So then there's no way out. So that's how he's to be mevatel daseh if he does it on the authority of the Ram. Says your mother psul. Is there no other case of a lav which is corrected by a say that the husband or the man who was over on the lav could break the asay himself? Says your mother there's many cases. Simon Gazel Mashkin Opeya. Now, the first case of Gazel. The Torah says one shouldn't steal. That's the loisasa. Then there's nitik lasei, corrected by say he could correct this loisasa by returning it. Mashken also, it says the Torah says you lend money, and now you decide you want to take a mashkin. You come to his house and there's chap ma mashkin. You want to make chaparai over here. So the Mal was not allowed to enter the house of the loiva to take a mashkin. And if he was over, and he did take a mashkin, so the Torah gives you a way out. Return it before the sun comes in. He has all night. You also even have it by even a legal mashkin, but if the person is an ani and he needs it to be warm at night, you have to give it back. And by these two lavin, you can find that it should be mashkachas. By Kibulay Kibmoy, you can find that he gets Malchus right away because it's not Asar Safik. He comes to Bezdin and he says he took my mashkin, and they tell him return it. If he doesn't return it, he's gonna get Makos. But how does it work? That he still has time to return the mashkin through the whole night. So how is it possible? How is it possible? Says the Gemara. How is it possible that he should be mevatel dasei? Says the Gemara. Hasam over there will say when he burned the gzela, he burned the mashkin, or he burned the thing behind him that he stole. Says the Gemara. Oh, you want to say? So says the Gemara. How could you say that it's talking about that he burnt it? Here he brings down that it's a case that he burnt it, so it's impossible to return it. Whether it's mitzvah the gzela, whether it's mitzvah the mashkin, you can't return it. It's burned. Says the Gemara. Hasam kim the chayit nashlum ain't like a mashal. You can't give both. You can't give him Malkus and also pay. If he has to pay back. Like a Mishalom, yeah. But right now, he's saying over here, the conclusion was that ain't like a Mishalom. The same pasuk. We learn now Litzicha. No, Vehifla. Anyway, so it says over here that he's not like a Mishalom. Because he can only get one punishment, and since he has to reimburse what he burned, he doesn't get malchus. Maskala Abzeda is the kasha. I can find you a case where you can be mevatel dasei, where if somebody took a mashkin from the ger and he burnt the mashkin, umesa ger, and the ger died, so there's no one to return it to. So it's even if he has kids, but when did he have the kids? You mean after? Talking about he didn't have kids. Over there at the time when he stole it, and the gay was alive, so there was the chiyuv of tashlumim. So at that time you could either be mechayv and malchus or pay. So since at that time we said he's going to have to pay, and when it came to actual paying, he died. So that's something else. So he's not going to be chayv malchus. What about he can pay? We have by Peah you can find that he's mevatel dasei. The Torah says you have to leave the corners for the aniyim to collect. It says for the ani and the gay you should leave it. So the mashkachas lag the kimah you can find by both. By kimah he has to return even if he cuts the corners. He has to return even if it's cut. He has to give the corners to the aniyim. But bitlay, how are you going to find? We learned in the Mishnah. Mitzvah peya lahavsh min hakama. The mitzvah peya is really to leave the corners connected to the ground, standing through. But what if he was even he wasn't mafresh from the standing through? Mafresh min haimar. Then he separates from the bundles. If he didn't separate from the bundles, mafresh min akri, then he's mafresh when he piles up the floor. Actually, before he smoothens out the pile. But once he smoothens out the pile, then he's mechuyev in ma'isa. So he says normally on the payah, if he gave the payah before, so he wouldn't have to pay ma'isa, including the payah. But now that he put the payah in the pile and he's smoothing it out, first he's going to have to give ma'isa, and then he's going to have to separate for the aniyah. But it's mashma. But once you grind it, then the aniyim don't get anything. Because you have Yishmael, so zakasha. So you have that you can be mevatel asay by grinding it, because by grinding it, he was koine through shinui ma'isa. He changed the looks of it. Once somebody makes a shinui ma'isa, he's koine. Says you want to kill Rabbi Yishmael dam af mafresh min ha'isa. He says by when it comes to ma'isa by pay, I'm sorry, there Rabbi Yishmael holds that even in such a case you have to give from the dough.
What if you baked it already?
Also, yeah, Rabbi Yishmael not mashkach l'chisa. So says Gemara, Rabbi Yishmael not mashkach l'chisa. He still could find a case where he's mevatel that he will never be able to get the payah out, that he eats the isa in which the payah is in, and it's all gone. Says Gemara, you're right. Rather, it's the case, the first case that we gave, right? And meaning the first case that we gave was shluach hakan, and it's not going to be afaris nadon. Rather, it's going to be this case. It's going to be the case of how do you call it, of mice, a peya. Avaloinus loy, but the case of Einus, no. By Einus, we're not going to say that it was al dasabim, because the heicha al dasabim ein le'afara. When we say al dasabim, there's no way of being materit lidvar reshus. It's only something that's not a mitzvah. Aval lidvar mitzvah yesh le'afara. But over here is a dvar mitzvah.
Give $1 million. He can, that's what happened.
If he does al dasabim, even though each person has a different pesach, and he can unify the same reason, excuse, why to be mated the neder, so usually you wouldn't allow it to be a heter. Over here we're going to allow it to be a hatara, because here there's a mitzvah that he lo yuchel shalcha kol yamav, he has to take it back. Lo yisei leisha. He says the Gemara, where do we see when it comes to a mitzvah, even if it's al das amin, you could be mated that neder? Ki aha dahu makri dadeki to have a pasha b'yenuke. There was this malamet in Makos that he was a pesheya. Meaning he would hit the children very hard. Adi Ravacha. So Ravacha made a neder al dasabim. He's no more going to teach these, be a teacher for children. Bahadi Ravina, and Ravina put him back. He was mated the neder. I was al das rabin. He says because the loy ishtakach, the doyik havaseh. He says he couldn't find somebody that was medayik in each word and learning, and he was precise. When he taught the children, he taught them right. Yeah, it comes with a little baggage, but that's what it is. Zag the Gemara,
Can't tell people to hate us.
No. Somebody, this is the Mishnah. Somebody who eats nevelis teves shkatzim and mashim. So this is one of the cases that you get malchus. One who eats a worm that's in a cabbage, malkinale, he gets malchus. Mishum, because of the lavin that's written in the Torah. Sheretz hasheretz al haaretz.
Isn't it Asra Sophic there? How do you know what there's a worm in the
No, he ate it. He opened it up and he ate the worm that was in the cabbage. There was this person that ate a worm in a cabbage, and Rav Yehuda gave him malchus. Somebody ate a water bug. Look how he gets 4 different malchus. He says the 2 general malchus, the 2 general and the second one of Elois, and that's by all. And then there's the 2 lavim of sheretz hamayim. It says Chol Asher Ein Lo Snap V'Kaskes Mikol Sheretz Hamayim V'Sonim Lo Yitzchelo, and then it says Chol Asher Ein Lo Snap V'Kaskes Lo Yitzchelo. Nimala, if somebody ate an ant like Chumash, he gets 5 malchus, the 2 general ones, and 3 Mishum Sheretz Hasheretz Al Haaretz. By Hasheretz Hasheretz Al Haaretz, there's 3 psukim. I'm not going to go through each pasuk. Tzira, if somebody ate a hornet, so it's an insect that flies. So like Yeshesh, he gets 6, because the 6th one, the 3 lavim of sheretz haaretz, and you have the 2 general lavim for shratzim, and then the 6th one mishum sheretz ha'oif. For oif itself, there's a special pasuk, a special chol sheretz ha'oif tamu lachem lo yeh chelo. So, and it's a hornet flies. Somebody holds in his from going to the bathroom. It says so a person is not allowed to hold himself in. Somebody who drinks from this horn, in which they would take out the blood, they would. From those, it was people who had fever. They would do the bunkers, but they hakazas adam. So they would put the dam in us. They took out the blood. They drew out the blood. But they took it out and they put the blood in keli. Yeah. So if he drank from that disgusting cleave, which they put the blood in, and he drank from that, Rava said, if somebody was risik tisha nemalim, he grinded 9 ants, and he brought 1 live one. He wanted to be mashlamit. So he ate a live one with 9. And he wrote machna kazayis. It was mashlam to kazayis. Like Heshesh, he gets 6. Chomesh mishum birya, 5 because he ate the live one. And one because he made a kizayis, he ate a kizayis nevela. Even if he only grinded 2 ants and 1 live one, he's still going to be chayv. Yes, if it's a kizayis. Yes. Nevela is Yechayim Malkus if he a kizayis.
You always think about an animal.
No, but here he says it's the same thing. Here, a barrier ve'il is nevela dai b'shir kizayis. Mekivish anamola achaya mitzaref simam harish kan shir kizayis nevela lo kizalom. Anyway, so he says Aviyasa says even if it's one, meaning the one that he grinded and the 1 live one, it's mitzaref. So it seems like it's machlokes. One says 9 and 1, and one says 2 and 1, and one says 1 and 1. It's no question. Either the cases, the one that we said we need 9, they were small ones. The ones that we said you only need 3 or 2 of, talking about bigger ones. Yeah. Achal tevel ma'aser. Somebody who ate tevel and ma'aser. Amarav. Achal tevel shel ma'aser. What's if he didn't take off ma'aser? That was the only thing that was missing. He took off truma. He gave a 50th. He gave ma'aser. Ma'aser, but ma'aser, it's ma'aser that year. So if he didn't take off ma'aser, does it have a din of tevel? So he says yeah. And look, he gets malchus. So he says, you want to come on, like whom? Says you want to kahit Tana like this, the Tana of the Baraisa, the Tanya we went to the Baraisa. I'm gonna have Yosi. I would have thought the only time it's called tevel if you didn't take off truma and maisa honey. I would say it's not. Or the maiserish or maiserish even if he didn't take off Maisani.
Why is it so exception?
Because Maisani doesn't have any kedusha. Maisani you have to bring to Yerushalayim. Maisani goes to Leviyim. So it's not. So I would have thought Maisani Hatishkin kedusha. So even though there's no Maisani, we shouldn't make it tevel. He shouldn't get malchus if he eats it from tfuah that Maisani was not taken off. Maybe he should be able to eat it because it's not a gefel chazak. It's not. It's not. But it's not kedusha. So he says, well, and by Maisani it says also achlu b'sharecha saveyu. So it's a gzeira shava. Just like the sharecha there is referring to Maisani, so to here malahal Maisani afkan. Just like by the pasuk, the second pasuk, it's talking about Maisani. Afkan, when it says leisuchal, that you're not allowed to eat it if the Maisani wasn't removed from it. I'm going to have to stop here. He's going to have to know.